Good morning, everyone. It's November 13th. I'm here at Before It's News. Fort Hood running shooting ops. IMF took over the Fed. Henahan. This comes from Tom Henahan and Stu Webb. Tom Henahan has been briefed about all the mass shootings by the military flag officers. All these shooting operations to take your guns are being run out of Fort Hood in Texas. Fort Hood, and by the way, remember Fort Hood is also the place those nukes came up missing from. Fort Hood is the headquarters for all the crisis actors and operatives running these operations. You know it's fake when you see mothers and fathers who can't cry tears in front of cameras, and all they talk about after losing their sons and daughters. When you see mothers and fathers, I'm sorry, I missed my place there. All they talk about after losing their sons and daughters is, don't send me your thoughts and prayers. I don't want your thoughts and prayers. I want the guns. I don't buy any of it. We can never give up our guns to these people. These shooting operations are tied to DHS and DARPA. Fort Hood, Texas will have to be closed down to stop these mass shooting operations to take the guns. They've gotten away with it for so long now. Here's an interview with somebody who was told the truth about Sandy Hook from his firefighter friend. The video was banned on YouTube in 20 minutes. I don't believe anything they tell me unless I'm there, and that is a good rule of thumb. We don't know really what happened. In any of these cases, because none of us are there, but we do have a whole history of fakery, right? So firefighter ran to Sandy Hook as soon as he heard the shootings, or heard of the shooting on the radio. He was there in 2 minutes and saw nobody. And I tried to play it. I tried to do this video a minute ago. It kept fucking up, so I started over, but I will leave a link in the description box so you can see this video. It is 8 minutes long, and I do not wish to take more of your time than I already am. Okay. Other topics covered by Tom Henahan was the fingering of Henry Paulson as being the one of the ones involved in stealing the WANTA funds for H.W. Bush. H.W. Bush used these trillions he stole in the 1980s to buy off the entire Democratic Party. They have already found secret bank accounts in British banks for the Democratic and Republican parties, full of stolen WANTA funds. Q is never going to tell you the truth about Lee Wanta and his funds. By the way, Q probably isn't going to tell you the truth about shit. He may have some truth sprinkled in there among lies, but I wouldn't believe the fucking word Q says. I think it's a trap. How about you? Tom reports the IMF has completely taken over the Federal Reserve, and they have tracked down where the stolen WANTA funds were transferred to. Mostly crooked British banks. Crooked U.S. Treasury Secretary Stephen Mnuchin says he can't pay Lee Wanta right now, or it will crash the banks. The banks that stole the money. Trump is in France now to discuss the WANTA funds, as the French and the Russians want the money they were promised before H.W. Bush stole it all. Have you noticed how all the fake news outlets are starting to finally say George W. Bush stole the election in 2000, I would venture to say that probably most of our elections were stolen one way or another. Probably our votes, or your votes, or our grandparents' votes, or parents' votes, and so on and so forth, probably never really counted. Is that really so hard to believe? H.W. Bush, and they put Sharif or Sheriff behind it. I'm not really sure what that means, but we'll see. Is allowing this discrediting because he really doesn't care about his legacy. He just wants to keep the money he stole. They say all he does now is count his money all day long. I used to do that. I did. When I lived in Michigan, I was selling all that weed. I constantly was counting money, and it got to the point where I had to weigh the money instead of count it. It got to be so much to count, and it got to be taking up all my time. I could just imagine old Bush there in a room like Scrooge McDuck, counting his little gold coins. And by the way, Thursday I go in for sentencing, so all of you, I could use some good luck there. I have kind of mixed emotions about this. On one hand, I've already been on probation for going on 2 years now, 2 years in December, and I've done pretty well. They haven't messed with me a whole lot, and I kind of expect it to go that way because of that fact, but you never know about these people. That judge might have a bad day and decide, fuck this guy, and really stick it to me. I doubt that, though. I've been fortunate where I've managed to get fairly decent judges, so not that I like any of these guys, but it could be worse, right? So Thursday morning may be my last videos for a while, if that does happen. And thank you to everyone who takes the time out of your day to visit my videos and make comments and give me thumbs up. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, so if you're not aware of Lee Wanta because Alex Jones lied about him for over 40 million patriots, here are some videos. Here's his story and the last show he appears on with Tom Hennahan and Stu Webb, where he says he will pay for the wall himself and pay off all legitimate student loans where a real degree was attained. Well, all this is being covered up by the fake news such as Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson, who have been given the information but still protect the butch Nazi Sheriff regime. Oh, and Sean Hannity actually made a comment the other day saying something to the effect that people are comparing the Bushes to Nazis. Now, this is not such a hard stretch considering Grandpa Bush, and I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but H.W., is that right? H.W. The older Bush, his dad, was doing business and helped Nazis throughout the entire war. He got in trouble for it. I think they applied the Trading with the Enemy Act against him at that time, if I remember correctly, and I'm pretty sure I do. So he knows the truth about the Bush Nazi sheriffs, whatever the fuck that means. I'm going to have to look that one up. Keep pounding on Sean and Tucker to report the truth about everything, vaccine scams. And by the way, JFK Jr. had won a lawsuit against the government for the lack of vaccine safety. So there's that. Bush, Federal Reserve scam, illegal war in Iraq, they both pushed the chemtrails and so on and so forth. I hate it when I can't scroll with my arrow. Someone really calling me this early? So it was a fairly short article here. I thought there was a second page to it, but there was not. Just a bunch of linked videos here. You know, once in a while I will binge watch movies with my wife. She likes to watch movies on one of her days off. So yesterday, and I'm the one that always picks them because I can pick some damn movies pretty well. We watched this movie called Bushwick. It's on Netflix, and it's about several states seceding from the United States, right? And the states that succeed send this army of mercenaries to New York, and Bushwick is a neighborhood in New York. In this movie, I don't know if it is for sure or in real life, but the main character, Stewie was his name, or Stu, ex-Marine medic, right? And he's with this chick at her cousin's house or apartment, and one of these mercenaries comes crashing through the window, and he beats the shit out of him and sits him down on the floor and extracts information from him. And he talks about how they chose New York as a target because guns are illegal. And the funny thing is one of the chicks, she was sitting there pulling bong hits, right, and smoking a joint before this happened, and she was like, well, welcome to New York, motherfucker. Don't think for a minute that there's not millions and millions and millions of under-the-table guns out there. So the idea that they're going to be able to confiscate, then conquer the United States, confiscate the weapons, then conquer the United States is, well, hard to believe. I don't think they'd be able to do it. I think they would need a lot more people, because they would lose people, I mean, and so the New Yorkers there, people of all races, ages, genders, they start fighting back and killing these guys, right? But the end didn't end well. Both main characters died, and it was a good movie, a really good movie. I do recommend you see it if you have Netflix, Bushwick. And then there was another one right before that, and Survivor, I believe, is the name of it. Just Survivor. It has the chick from Resident Evil. I don't remember her name, but she's a pretty bad chick, right? And she's one of them people that checks the background of those trying to get into the country from, say, Britain or France or something like that. I think it took place in Britain, Britain. And so she comes across this doctor who's a bomb maker, right? And he's developed this bomb that's made out of hydrogen gas from a sniper rifle to detonate it. Pretty bad bomb, and the plot of the movie was very, very good. You know, it makes you wonder. That movie was very, very realistic. Both of them were, really. It makes you wonder if these are one of them things where predictive programming is being used. I mean, can you imagine? And the thing is they were going to detonate this giant bomb in this movie above New York City during the countdown of New Year's, right? And can you imagine how quickly we would be in war if something like that happened? I mean, that would be far, far, far worse than 9/11. Good movies, good movies. And I don't do that very often. I about once a week with my wife. But what do you think? What do you make of that woman saying that that she don't want no more thoughts and prayers? She wants the guns. Do you think she's a crisis actor? Seriously. Oh, I've been doing some meditation recently. I started last week, and I have to tell you, I've had a lot less bad days. At least bad days created by me. Actually, I've been in a good mood for most of that time, so. And it's started making me think in a little different way. I'm not saying I've been wrong, because I don't think I have been. But my ineffectiveness at reaching people really has me wondering if I should even be doing this. I mean, I have 485 on one channel and 27 on my BitChute channel. My videos there get more views than I have subscribers, and my videos on YouTube get a lot less views than I have subscribers. And it makes me wonder, you know, who's watching me? So, according to these people, Fort Hood is the headquarters for the crisis actors and the operations for getting gun confiscation going. And it's been effective, actually. There in Virginia, somebody was recently killed by police because the police were there to confiscate the guns. And it's been happening quite rapidly in the states where they have red flag laws. Quite rapidly. And I don't think it's too far out of the realm of possibilities that these operations are being ran out of Fort Hood. I mean, people always want to have this idea that Texas is the most patriotic place. But really, are you? Are you really? I mean, if you were actually a patriotic place, you would think that you would see things for what they are. And more than that, you would tell more people about it. And that's what really I'm trying to do, is see things for what they are and then tell people about it. And I've not done a good job of it, obviously, because I'm one of them people that only has less than 1,000 subs and even more dismal view counts. I'm not sure what to do anymore, people. I'm just not sure. I do know something, though. Something has got to be done by us to stop what's coming. If we don't do it, we're going to end up just like the people in Russia who had deep regret that they didn't pick up the pitchforks, the pickaxes, and the other weapons they had, and start making some of these people not come home at night. Then they'll think twice about what they're doing when they sign up to be mercenaries for these globalists. Let me pause it for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and knock out my whole day's videos in this one. So there's a few headlines that should probably get some attention because they just should. U.S. Army personnel to compete in esports to boost recruitment. The Army is putting together a team of video gamers from within its ranks to try to reach young Americans in the digital world where they spend much of their time. I'll tell you right now, if one of these guys started to try to recruit my son, he would flat out tell them to fuck off. He would not spare any more words than that. He would just flat out say, fuck off. More than 15 years after launching America's Army, a first-person shooter game aimed at enlisting real-world soldiers, the Army is calling for active-duty troops and reservists to compete in video game tournaments or esports in one of its latest recruiting efforts. Now, if you're young and you've thought about joining the military, don't. Those men in the military are seen as nothing but cannon fodder for the globalists. Henry Kissinger said that military men were dumb, stupid animals there to do the bidding of them. A professor sues university for being punished after calling a female transgender student sir. Then you have that writing wrong there, dude. It's male transgender student, sir. A professor at a small public university in Ohio is suing officials at the school after he received a written rebuke for not addressing a transgender student using their preferred gender noun, or gender pronouns, rather. Off the leash, how the UK government is developing the technology to build armed autonomous drones. Military planners have a long history of taking advantage of technological developments to aid warfighting. Aircraft and computers were rapidly identified for their potential to transform warfare, and so it should come as no surprise that new combinations of these technologies are of great interest to the world's militaries. While drones have become familiar over recent years, the technological leap powered by advances in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and advanced computing is likely to see the development not only of drones that are able to fly themselves and stay aloft for extended periods, but those which may also be able to select, identify, and destroy targets without human intervention. Now, this is a real asshole thing for the government of Kansas City to do, but they did it. Health Department raids parks, pours bleach on food being given to homeless. And you have to wonder, when they do things like that, is it their intention to kill these people through starvation and disease because they're malnourished? Probably. The food was going to be distributed by a group called Free Hot Soup KC. The Kansas City Star said that the food, which included home-cooked chili, foil-wrapped sandwiches, and vats of soup, was destroyed on Sunday, November 5th, during a coordinated sting at several parks where volunteers had gathered. A sting. They need a sting to stop groups from serving the homeless food. Is Russia arming the Taliban to avenge the loss of Ukraine? On November 9th, Russia hosted talks between Afghanistan's High Peace Council the members of the Taliban from its Doha, Qatar office, and representatives from 11 regional states, including China, India, Iran, Pakistan. The meeting showcased Russia's reemergence as a proactive global power and its regional clout. More than 50 nations, but not U.S., sign on to Cybersecurity Pact. French President Emmanuel Macron released an international agreement on cybersecurity principles Monday as part of the Paris Peace Forum. Well, that explains why we're not part of it. Remember, Donald Trump pulled us out of that shit. The original signatories included more than 50 nations, 130 private sector groups, and 90 charitable groups and universities, but not the United States, United Kingdom, Russia, or China. DHS, Wide Biometrics Programs, issues detailed and data mining report to Congress. Noam Chomsky warns of the rise of Judeo-Nazi tendency in Israel. Shit, that's been going on since the beginning of Israel. But he's a Jewish intellectual and prominent, so I guess that's not entirely a bad thing for him to talk about this. I think everyone knows by now what the deal is with Israel, right? It just goes on and on and on. Trump planning to fire DHS Secretary Kristen Nielsen ASAP. So, I wonder who's going to be on the chopping block next. Hopefully, he actually does drain the swamp from these people, and hopefully they are swamp creatures, and hopefully, if they have to be replaced, they're replaced by someone who's not a creature. So anyway, I hope everyone has a good day. I think I've taken enough of your time. If I see anything else in the news, I'll talk about it. Till next time, kill the state, live free.